Well, hello, traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, and we're doing it from a neoclassical perspective. That means we're looking at the market, asking ourselves on the charts, where's the supply and the demand at significant price points. I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's on our channel, L.A. Little. If you haven't subscribed and you want to, just reach up in the right hand corner and do so. Anytime I push some public content, you'll get a notification. As far as what is happening in these markets, let's look at the numbers first here. It was kind of a quiet day again. You know, last night I was telling you that we had a decent chance for a little bit of a pullback today. But if you look at it, what do? They just hang it. They hang it up there. Won't give it up. NDX had the best numbers. NDX and NASDAQ just slightly higher elsewhere. Gold got a nice little pickup, as did silver. Oil down a little bit more. Bonds got a nice pickup, up 1%. If you go overseas, though, that's where you're having the numbers come in now. Over in Europe, in Asia as well, you're getting a nice push up in those markets. And it's almost as if they're playing catch up at this point. Let's take a look at the charts. So starting here with the NASDAQ, the S&P. If we look at the S&P chart, what do? We just go sideways. So you get that bump up on Friday on the employment number, and then the volume just drops off and you hang. Now, you go over back under again tonight. So one more time, it's giving us a subtle sign that this thing's struggling here and that it can try and pull back. Of course, getting a pullback in this market is worse than getting your teeth pulled at the dentist with an old pair of, I guess, pliers, right? Some rusty pliers, maybe. Look at the NASDAQ here. On the NASDAQ, same sort of thing. Now, the NASDAQ actually gets higher than yesterday. That number yesterday, 5228.40. The close on the NASDAQ is 52.25. So just like the S&P, even though it goes up today, it still falls again and over and under. Although this time it has a little bit more volume. Let me look back at that S&P. Did we have more volume or not? We actually did. Slightly more volume. So the subtle sign just turns into a blase sign. NDX actually goes over, stays over, so that one doesn't even do it. And then if we go to the Russell actually does an inside bar on the same volume. So we're splitting hairs here, but these markets really don't want to give it up. I think the action really right now is overseas, as we just hang here, and we've kind of encouraged the rest of the world that we're not going to go into a recession. No need for you to worry. Just party on, right? And so if we go to Europe first, I'll start with Switzerland because I like the signals here the best. Switzerland going after, well, this is a good one on Switzerland because Switzerland now is going to attack this bar, right? This is that breakdown bar. I mean, when we're talking breakdown, we're talking small numbers, but that's a significant bar. And so that's the area that you got to get over, and you can see it came right to it. Didn't quite get over to 82.54. You get to 82.36. I'm guessing it's going to attack it tomorrow. And I say that because, just a second here. I say that because if I look over at the German DAX, right? The German DAX got a nice big push today. I don't know where the volumes are yet because I get on too late anymore for this show. But from what it looks like to me, this is another ABCD structure to the upside and probably is going to have some legs. So if I pull up the, let me get my little pencil here. If I pull this pencil up, I can show you, you get a 1, 2, 3, that's right there, right? So you go from there to there, back down, and back up. And actually, that one's almost done. Let's get the numbers real quick. 9923, got to top it. So it's about 1, 2, it's about 1200, right? 1200 on this low, get you up to, what is that, 11? I can't do the math that well. Let's try one more time. Sorry. So 9923, that is 1200, right? Yeah, 1200. So if I add 1200 to this, that gets me 11 to almost 11.3, right? And we trade to Yeah, so it goes up farther. It gets us up a little bit farther. So I'm not sure why my bars look the same. It seems like it can go up another 300 points. Maybe I'm doing something wrong there, but I guess I'll come back to it. I'm not going to sit here and dwell on it. It is an ABCD structure up. You get over, the important thing here is you get over swing points. You test them here. You can't get over them. You break over on this bar, right? You actually get up and you get some more juice as you go over them. And if you take this and pull it back, right, and look at it from a little bit longer term perspective, if I pull the weekly over, for example, you can see this weekly starting to break out of these highs too. You got it last week, and you got another one this week. Now, on the Sunday show, I talked about Europe probably wanting to try and trade higher this week, and that was one of the reasons, is because you had breakouts on the weekly chart. Even though it was a tough bar, it was a breakout. It was going to probably try and trade higher. So, and actually, if we bring this, while we're on this, if we bring this over, now we're sitting at new highs. You still got a decent ways to go here to get that new highs. 12,390. You're sitting at, what was the number there? We're sitting at 10, right? So you got another 2,000 points you can go up, which is a fairly decent percentage. Now the laggard, of course, over in the European land is the franc. The French market, that one's just trying to get back to the high here. I expect it will attack the high. The SMI will do what it's going to do, attacking that other value that we were looking at, and then the DAX is going to go up and finish off an ABCD structure. If I go over to Asia, right, Asia's also pushing. We'll just take one of them there, but if I look at Hong Kong, for example, Hong Kong's over swing point high here, gets a hanging doji there. Over it on this bar is 2. We get 2 to 3 bar extension. That's what it's doing. I don't see any problems overseas. Yeah, are they going to be able to pull back? Sure, just like us. Are they going to want to? No, hell, nobody wants to. You got central bankers behind everything. As a matter of fact, you got pretty much all asset classes trying to rise. And so, why does anybody want to sell anything? And where are you going to put your money anyway? I mean, that's the dilemma, right? If you take your money out of the market, or if you take it out of your bonds, or you take it out of your gold, or wherever you're going to take it out of, where are you going to put it? There's no place to put the stuff, right? And so everybody just leaves it there. And we grind, and we grind, and we grind. Let's take a viewer question here before I go any farther. Then I'll come back and do the wrap. And this one had to do with a commodity, cocoa. And the question is that, if the Fed doesn't raise the rates, if these charts don't look too bad, what do you think, right, on an intermediate term time frame? So let's pull the weekly over and take a look at it. There's 2 of them. I haven't looked to see what's inside these. In other words, is this based on a group of commodity futures, or is it one particular month, or, how do they do it? So I haven't really looked at that, but just looking at the charts, I'm actually going to start with the long term. So a lot of times you can make some really good money if you can catch an actual trend transition, right, on a longer term basis. You got a swing point low over here. You break it right there. And then you hover down here, and then you get this nice push up on volume, and that push takes you right to that retest regen zone. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about a bearish retest and a regenerate. And that's it right there. So it gets over it, but it actually closed inside of it. 21.98. This one closes at 21.88. So far it has not been able to remove the bearishness and say, okay, the trend no longer is this, right, which is what it's been, but the trend is probably more like that, which is what it was when it tried to push up here. In other words, we're not doing that, but we're going to do this at least, right? That's what you're looking for. Hasn't quite shown us that. Now let's circle into or pull into the weekly. Now the weekly had a nice push up on volume here, gets over swing point high. Now it fades back in. Now this is doing something different. This is a bullish retest regenerate. And so as it comes back in here, right, it's trying to see if it can break this bar down. Now look at the volumes on the test, right? There's nothing. And so far, this looks like a really good test. Looks to me like on the weekly at least, it's going to try to reach up here and go after those highs again. So that's on the weekly time frame. Now let's pull it into the daily and see what that one looks like and see if there's anything different there. Now the daily, it's a little bit different. You get a push up, right? Then you break down here. So this one also now doing a bearish retest regenerate. And usually when you do these, if you get over for one bar and then you get over it for another bar, then I kind of believe it. Well, if you get over for one, you can't stay there, then I'm not quite in that camp. And so, you know, I like to see a couple bars usually to give me confirmation on these retests. And so it didn't, and we're back underneath it. So right now, in my opinion, the jury's still out. So that tells me what you really want to see is you want to see on a weekly basis this hold, and on a daily basis, you want to see this thing get back up and over these swing point highs and get over that bearish retest regen. So that's what I'd be looking for on that particular one. Let's see if the other one's any different. JVA. So this one does about 200K. This one does, we had this huge spike, so the volumes are so small. Yeah, the other one does more volume. So let's see what this one looks like. So this one is a different chart. If I pull this over and look at this chart, it's a very different chart. So again, I think you have to go inside these and see what the difference is. And maybe I'll do that homework tonight, or maybe who asked me this question can send me what their take of that is. But what you can see here is it's already turned. And so I'd be very curious to know what's inside this versus the other one. And so that one's over it, holding over it. And so if I look at this one looks a little bit different. This one looks more bullish. That probably says that the other one is probably going to join it. Big spike up, little fade. And so yeah, it looks pretty good. Taking the two together makes me think that cocoa probably is going to rise, and you're probably already going to get a longer term trend change. I'll do a little homework and report back to you tomorrow about what's inside each of these and why the difference. As far as the markets, let's go back to that and kind of wrap this up for tonight. So you've had a huge run, right? And I keep coming back and circling back to this because it's important not to get lost in the weeds here. Can we get a pullback? Yeah, we can. Or is it going to be huge? No, it's probably not. Are they going to buy it? Almost certainly. And so, you know, with those kind of characteristics or those kind of constraints, if you will, what do you want to do? Do you want to try to short this market? Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Do you want to just buy with random abandon up here? Probably not. You want to pick and choose your spots. You want to find some good spots. You want to push into those. You want to keep your portfolio mostly invested, and you want to rotate around just like the market does. Is the market going to go higher? Yeah, probably so. Will it do it immediately? No, it looks like it's going to try and come back in and do a retest regen off that swing point high it broke. But it's probably going to get bought. That's it for tonight. Have yourself a great one. If you're interested in what I do, how I do it, and you want to learn, come over here, hit the Get Started button. $19 a month if you do it monthly. If you do it yearly, it's down to 15. I mean, I can't even buy like 3 cups of coffee for that hardly. Have a great night. Take care. I'll see you next time. Good night, folks.